Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my Daily Dose with Tim. Today is season 3, episode 53, and we're going to continue on the subject of creative financing. And, I've got a few messages just asking about how really the whole um, formula works. And I know if you're asking that question, you haven't actually gone back and watched season 2 yet. So I really want to encourage you to follow the links and go back to watch season 2 on YouTube, especially on the income properties module. Again, I mean, organically, we've already got to episode 53 already this season. And again, for some of you who reached out to wish me well and hope that I recover soon. Thank you. I appreciate the message. However, I really want to go into quite a bit of a fun topic, in my opinion. And I think this is really where I believe the amateurs or just regular buyers who think that they actually know how to run numbers differ from the actual educated investors, because they understand how to differentiate the different forms of returns as well as how to debt service. And so to piggyback on what we were discussing in the previous episodes, and just so you know, this is basically where we left off, which was net operating income. And as we all know, the formula is really, really straightforward on this one. Revenue minus monthly operating expenses, or if you remember the picture of Mo, then this is how we get our NOI. So net operating income, NOI, I think once you start actively looking for deals, analyzing deals, then you will hear those terms very quickly. And again, as much as I avoid jargons most of the times, for educated investors, when we speak to each other, it's a lot easier and quicker sometimes when we just use the acronyms and jargons, right? So moving forward though, after NOI, we have to factor in debt servicing. If you remember, I apologize, my puppy is barking right now. I don't know if you can hear it. Financial debt servicing. Basically, again, most of the times when we are using real estate as our main asset class, it's a mortgage that we're taking on. So mort in itself means repayment amount of any debt used to acquire this property. The funny thing though is, you know what? I'm not going to give it away. Google what mortgage means in Latin form. It's gonna create some surprises for some people, maybe shock value for a few. Regardless, let's really figure it out what this means. And this is really, again, as we keep saying, this is where the line is drawn between amateur buyers versus educated investors, because ultimately speaking, once we've got our NOI, remember, wealth starts at NOI, and that's really arguably the most important number when it comes to performance and how healthy a deal potentially is. And the rest of it is really simply figuring out cost of borrowing and how we can debt service it. So cash flow, again, as you remember now, is revenue minus MO, meaning NOI, minus debt servicing at this point is cash flow. And some people are going to ask, okay, well, you know what? Are cash flow the same as cash on cash return? As you can probably tell at this point, no. And is cash flow the same as return on investment? Once again, heck no. And so you can see my voice is slowly coming back and I'm recovering. However, I'm still not 100% yet. And yet I can still have some fun, right? And so that's why today I want to do a fun episode with everybody. And it's called Cash on Cash Return versus ROI. And if you actually follow me in season 1 and season 2, you know I've made episodes regarding cash on cash versus ROI already. And for me, this really comes back to what I call, maybe it's very old school of me. However, I know a lot of people tend to actually blend it together. And the more I think about it, the more I realize that it's not that I'm old school. It's the fact that there is fundamentally a difference. And so I really want to redefine everything for you. And unlike lease options, where return on investment and cash flow tend to have an inverse relationship, in this particular case, I just want you to examine the relationships, or better yet, the correlation between cash on cash, cash flow, and ROI. So In order for us to get there, I want to make sure that we define how we can allocate ROI or group that entire return. So the entire return, if you remember me saying this before, is that the entire return on investment typically signifies a beginning and an end of a deal, especially in the case of lease options. When you do it correctly, when it's executed properly, then there is a clear end. However, this is also why a lot of people tend to mix in cash on cash return versus ROI, is because of the fact that by this definition, you don't necessarily need to exit the property, which means there may not be a very clear end. However, as you can see, the 4 different items that are added up together, cash flow, you still have to define on a very clear timeline. Same thing with appreciation, whether it's forced or natural appreciation, and principal pay down. You got to calculate how much has been paid down in what amount of time. And also same thing with tax benefits. And this is usually calculated based on capital depreciation that you've been able to claim off of your tax returns. So continuing on, I'm going to keep it very simple. And remember, the focus today in this episode is for you to examine the correlation between cash on cash return, cash flow, and return on investment. So I'm not going to use big numbers, simple, straightforward numbers. Let's just say that $10,000 initial investment into any sort of deal, the cash flow created throughout, let's just say, that particular year or whatever time frame that we preset it on. But I'm just going to say for 1 year, so 12 months in length, and there's no appreciation included. That means cash on cash return is 30. And as a result, return on investment, if there's a clear end, is 30% as well. And yet, let's just say that you put in a $10,000 investment, cash flow is $1,500. So it doesn't seem like it's great. However, there is appreciation, again, forced and or natural. And so cash on cash return in this case is now 15%. And yet the overall return on investment is still 30%. So similar as the first case. Or next example is there's no cash flow whatsoever, and there's appreciation of $3,000 during that time frame. And so cash on cash return is nil and ROI is still 30%. And this is where we go into a bit of a danger zone. Sorry, my puppies are playing now and they're too excited. And so cash flow, and this is what, again, gets a lot of amateur buyers in trouble, is that they are willing to carry negatives and they are willing to bank on appreciation. But remember, most people only do buy, rent, and pray, which means that they bank on natural appreciation, because most amateur buyers, they will only buy brand new, sometimes even pre-construction. Like we said, we don't buy pre-constructions because it's literally like rolling the dice and you just never know. However, people gamble. And so hopefully, if this is the case, this is actually a good scenario, because you can possibly go into a scenario where cash flow is minus 1,000, appreciation is also not plus 1,000. So you're not even breaking even at the end of the day, depending on the market that you're going into. And so in this particular case, cash on cash is not quite there, and return on investment, is now 27%. Why is it only 27%? And that is the question that I have for every single person here now. Okay, that is the question that I have for every single person now. And that is where I'm actually going to be leaving you off on this particular episode, because I want you to start thinking about why ROI is only 27%, because so many people, they would go, hang on a second, shouldn't the ROI actually be 30% still, because we should be taking minus 1,000 plus 4,000, which is still positive 3,000 overall, divided by $10,000 initial investment, which should equal still 30% return on investment. While that thought process may sound logical, actually it isn't in real life. And understanding this is going to be what separates you from the amateur real estate buyers who think that they are still getting ahead. I'm not disputing the fact that 27% return is not great. It's amazing. However, it's fundamentally different, especially when you're going into different market conditions, different economic conditions, different property types, and different lending rules where the rates are changing. And in this case right now, in today's world, rising like crazy. And so on that note, I will address this at the next episode with everybody. However, I'm curious to see your responses. So make sure you DM me, make sure you comment in the comment section below. And I also want to take this opportunity to once again invite everybody to our next coffee chat on real estate investing and money. And before we take a long break in August, this is the last one. So make sure you join us this Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Mountain Time, and 8 a.m. Pacific time. Remember, it's a coffee chat, so come with your favorite morning beverage. Mine's my coffee. I'm not going to judge what you put into yours, so just come and join us. We're going to be going over and sharing. A lot of the coaches and mentors on the Trust Your Talent team are going to be sharing the 3 key ingredients for succeeding in real estate investing, and everybody's going to be sharing their journey, and you never know, maybe some of them will resonate with you. So hopefully I'll see you there, and I'm going to put the registration link in the comment section below. There is absolutely no charge whatsoever. So come join the party, join the fun, join the conversation, elevate your learning to the next level, and get yourself around like-minded people and professional investors if this is the journey you want to embark on or continue on. So on that note, thank you so very much for sticking with me and for putting up with my sick voice so far this week. I'm really hoping that we're going to be a lot better in the next couple of days. And until then, live well, everybody.